Welcome to the Learner Tree Book Club's regular monthly meeting. We meet once a month for 1.5, 1.5 hours on first Saturdays. And we've been holding meetings since 2018. We used to meet at 2 p.m. Eastern Central and 3 p.m. Central previously. And this year we changed to 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. And so far, it's been a good time for the two of us. We had a new member jump on, but she got disconnected, so hopefully she'll come back. But here we go again, Vicky. Let's
Well,
read. We reading, girl.
we read now where it says intellect matters. We
I want to hold up mine first because you always like to go first.
Burning Dahmer. Yeah.
If you don't vote, you don't count. You know, they say this on they have a clip of someone saying this on 90.1 all the time. If you
You
don't
don't
vote, you
vote.
don't count.
Yeah.
But
That's
this is just a beautiful book. I'm so honored to have it. It's like a real treasure.
uh-huh.
Mr. Dahmer and his illustration of them really looks so much like real life.
Oh.
Yeah, me and Will went down there uh, to his grave and saw his house where he lived and where his wife lived and all of the
Was
information that
Hattiesburg?
they have down there in Hattiesburg or outside of Hattiesburg, wherever it is. But this is just a wonderful presentation
Yeah.
of such a wonderful, great man who
Yeah.
took on all those Klansmen by himself and protected and kept all of his family alive. I mean, that was just an amazing story in itself.
That was good.
Yeah. And you met Bowers when you worked in the prison.
Uh-huh.
You say you met him?
I met Bowers, the guy that was convicted of his murder. He was the main, as I called him, the top dog of the clan. He was the grand wizard of the clan.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept to himself. He didn't have anybody come visit him. He had a lawyer or somebody that came to visit him. He's the only visitor he had.
Oh
And
yeah. And
uh
how old was he? Like in his 70s or 80s?
he was like 80.
Oh
And
yeah.
uh when I could tell that he was getting sick, I could tell he was losing weight and slimming down. But I saw him with a notebook. Every time that I saw him with a notebook, and he would write something. And then uh, at one time, the Attorney General Mike Moore at the time, he came and picked Sam up, and that's when Sam started telling on everybody. And
Oh
and that was
yeah.
Edgar
I
Ray
kind
Kelly.
of remember that, but that was like in the 80s, wasn't it? I think
Yeah,
I was still kind of
it was like
young.
it was like in the 80s, 90s. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
And yeah, because I remember all of that. Yeah. And so you know how we supposed to have put people together. And when Beckwith came, when Bowers was already there, and when Beckwith came, we thought that it would be good to put he and Beckwith together. Bowers told us that no, Beckwith couldn't stand the same. Beckwith couldn't stand the same. Beckwith couldn't stand the same with him. He would. Bowers didn't want Beckwith to stay in the same cell with him.
Oh yeah. Okay, well you gonna go first, or you want me to go first?
Well, you can go first.
Okay, since I got this wonderful book. If you don't vote, you don't count. Vernon Damer's Fight for Equality. Oh my goodness. written by Rochelle, Shelly, Dahmer, and it's illustrated by somebody whose first name I can pronounce, Jackson. But I'm gonna mess up this last name,
Okay.
Lou Luthoni. Anyway, this is what it is. If anybody
Oh,
can see it, and if you can
okay.
pronounce it, help yourself. All right, let's see. Wow, I'm just look at I just it's just a wonderful presentation. Even this page,
Uh-huh.
has the leaves. And of course, he was a farmer. Okay, so it was copyrighted last year. Shelley's Creative Life. Okay, so it says, I dedicate this book to Mrs. Ellie Jewel Dahmer and the Dahmer family in their quest for justice for Mr. Vernon Dahmer Sr. Also, I thank my father. Oh, this is his daughter, Philip, and my children always believed in me. Oh, this is one of his daughters. So I didn't know Vic, I hadn't even cracked it open. I bought it last week. I saw it on the internet. Because I know I follow one of his children, one of his sons. Okay. And this first page is exactly the image in my mind when I heard the story. I wrote about this story for the Jackson Advocates for a Black History edition. I don't know if it was 2018, 2019, or something like that. But anyway, you see it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So it's just it really is the image of what you imagine happened that day. It's
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
man going from one window to the next in his room running
Yeah.
to shoot at this group of Klan members outside his house to protect his family. Even
Family.
though they had set his house on fire,
Right.
he still held them off and
Yeah.
got his family out safe. And so this is the first page right here. Lungs filling with smoke. He could hardly catch his breath. Bullets whizzed by. All he could think about was the safety of his family. He shouted to his wife to take the children out the back window and run to the woods relentlessly. The shooters fired shot after shot. Relentlessly, it says Big. The shooters fired shot after shot. Sadly, Vernon had known that this day would come. He knew they was coming. And so, in a way, okay, she starts the book at the end. Now she goes to um, Vernon Dahmer Sr. as a child. Also, I get to learn something. Look, his middle name was Ferdinand.
Oh,
Vernon
okay.
Dahmer, his middle name was Ferdinand.
Okay. Okay.
So it says as a growing Southern boy, Vernon Ferdinand Dahmer Sr. loved his life in the piney woods of South Mississippi. Hmm. He enjoyed spending the warm summer afternoons fishing and catching brim in the fresh, clear creeks that ran through the family land. Okay. So his family were landowners too. Okay, here we go.
Uh-huh.
Okay. He worked alongside his father and brothers, cutting and hauling the timber that was cradled in the deep, dark pockets of nature. While the dew still glistened on the blades of grass, he trudged to the weathered barn to milk the cows and feed the clucking chickens. He relished the fresh grass scent that carried through the barn from the newly cut bales of hay. Basket in hand, he plucked warm eggs from the hen's nest for that day's breakfast. Oh wow, look. Now
Oh,
he
okay.
went and got the eggs from under the hens and put them in the basket. Now I have that. My great my great uncle owned some chickens in my Aunt Caroline. And I remember we would go out there when I was like really young, like 8, 9, 7, 8, 9. But I guess if I saw him do it, I wasn't as concerned as how that brown egg would taste if my grandmama or my great aunt cooked one, because I was always ready to eat. But that's interesting that it's described so particularly how he gathered the eggs. And of course, they're so hot now. I wish I had some hens in the backyard. Okay, so here's the next page right here.
Oh, okay. All
Oh
right.
my good, well done, Rochelle, Shelly, Dahmer. I'm in love with this book. He helped plant collard greens, yellow ears of sweet corn. Oh, I love fried sweet corn. And
Uh-oh.
watermelons that grew to gigantic sizes. His family planted peanut plants that grew green and regal. All right now. Look, my grandmother, uh, Roxy, would take a ear of corn and slice the corn at least twice, in little fine pieces. Then when she would take the nice knife and squeeze the juice from it and put it in the pan and put a little salt and pepper on it and fry it. Now I could remember this so good because she did the same thing the same way all the time. You know, those
Yeah.
slices, the fine slices, and then get the juice out of the fry. That was the best corn. I still fry corn occasionally, but I will never forget the things that I learned from my grandmother because I lived in the city and we went to her house in the summertime. So you actually lived in the city or in the rural area.
I live between the city. Well, I guess it's the city and the rural between the two, because it really wasn't a city like you think of, like New York or any other. It it was a city as opposed to the rural, because we were somewhere not far from Parchment.
Did y'all gather the eggs yourself, you and your brother, or did y'all go to the
I
store and
I
buy it?
don't recall. No, I don't recall having eggs. The only thing I remember of chicken that we had, I remember I remember they cut the chicken's head off, and I remember chicken running around the yard.
Oh,
I
you
don't
remember
remember.
that? Okay, now
I
that I
don't remember
don't remember.
eggs. No.
I
Now
heard about it, but I didn't see that.
we did like I said, I remember the chicken with the head running around the yard. Cut the head off a chicken, run around the yard.
And it still keep going. Y'all heard it. I heard those stories though, but I've never, um, I've never, I learned certain things, because we had family members who were farming, and when my grandmother, but when I was a child, she was already in the city. They moved in the city in 1960, and she had a garden in her backyard, and the garden get smaller and smaller the older she get. Because by the time I was a teenager, she only had a flower garden in the front yard, and she didn't have the um, rows in the backyard anymore. You know, she was uh, as she aged, she's slowed down in the things that she was doing. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh. But anyway, yeah, so
So
that's
now,
yeah.
father, my mama's daddy, that's what my mama's family had the farm. And who I remember was my grandfather smoked ham, and he had a smokehouse. Now, Papa could smoke some ham, and the ham he would bring over to our house, and
Uh-huh.
we have smoked ham for days because he would smoke the ham and bring them over to us. Smoked ham, yes.
What did you ever see?
Huh?
How he did you ever see him, the process of him taking it to the smokehouse and smoking it?
Yeah, I remember seeing him was cut the cow, and I remember seeing that. And now I can't really say what all else he did, but I remember seeing him kill the cow, and and he would put something of the cow into the smokehouse, and I don't recall all of
The
that, but
process, I see you saying the whole process of, yeah, I know what you're saying. So wow, so I'm gonna read one more page and I'll let you get in there because um you know we take it personal, all these stories. Let's see. Okay, so wow, he's a teenager now, and it says segregation, voting rights, poll tax. Old Jim Crow has to go. I remember I saw a picture with Meg Evans holding up say Jim Crow must go. But anyway, so he's thinking about all this the Jim Crow South and how unfair it is. And look, he's standing on the land
uh-huh.
that the dame was on. And he's thinking, and he's got independent thought because his daddy and mama owned the land. It just was different. As Vernon grew into a strong young man and
Yeah.
his father grew weary with age, he took over the everyday operations of the farm. Okay? His responsibility increased as his siblings left Mississippi. Oh, wow. This is a familiar story. They sought a loosening of the grips of the oppressive Jim Crow laws and restrictions of the South. Restaurants, movie theaters, and other public places were segregated, which meant blacks and whites were separated. Worse, black citizens were beaten or lynched for minor offenses. Wow. One more. That's interesting. His other siblings left the land and the farm, and he stayed and took responsibility for it as his father aged. The only son to stay on the farm. Oh, wow. Vernon became a successful businessman. He would go on to woo his future wife and teacher named Ella Jewel Davis with treasures from the land. Smitten by his actions and kindness, Ella loved Vernon. Together, they created a strong union of marriage and support while living a comfortable life with 7 sons and one daughter. Now, how about that? The one daughter wrote this book. You go, girl. Well done. This is well done. Okay, okay. Here's another one, Vicky.
Okay.
you can see him on the tractor.
On the tractor. Okay.
Uh-huh. And you can just tell that the land is well kept up. He's been farming all his life. He's great at it. Um, he turned it into his business and livelihood and took care of 7 sons and 1 daughter and a beautiful wife. How
Uh,
about that? With a large family to provide for, Vernon continued the family tradition with king cotton and timber. Okay, so their cash crop was cotton and timber. He started a sawmill, and lumber business. All right now. Also, he opened a grocery store that gave blacks a place to shop and let many buy on credit. As he rose to new heights in his farming and business life, he brought his community and others with him. He lifted people.
uh-huh.
How about that? Okay, Vic, I'm gonna let you go.
All right. Well, now we're starting off since today is the first day of Black History. Like I said, Meredith started out with Vernon Dahmer. I'm picking up with when black folks were colored.
Oh, I know where you got that from. You bought that from Shirley Francis from Pensacola, Florida.
Did it? Okay.
I think so.
Is that where I got it from? Okay.
I think so. I'm gonna look over. Yeah.
It was in the middle 50s, and my brother and I, aged 12 and 10, were headed to New York City. My parents were enrolled in the graduate program of Columbia University, financed by the state of Florida. Due to segregation, residents who wanted graduate degrees in fields that were not offered by Florida A&M, FAMU, were given a subsidy so that Columbia cost the same as FAMU. The car was loaded, luggage racked on the top with all of the things that was needed to set up the campus apartment. This was before the day of the minivan, and we needed towels, sheets, pillows, cases, pots, pans, brooms, and of course, a TV. The middle of the back seat was loaded to the ceiling, and we each had our own space near the window. Before we left home, Daddy memorized the route to, then passed the map to us, the two of us. He called us navigators and convinced us that if we misread the map, we may never get to New York City. And when we started to push each other, and when we started to push each other's button, as siblings often do, he would ask us questions that would only be answered by looking at the map. There was only one map. There was only one map. When the gas tank was half full, Daddy would stop at a gas station. This was before self-serve. Therefore, the first question to the attendant was uh my children. My first question to the attendant was, may my children use the bathroom? If the answer was no, he would say thank you and he would pull off. Sometimes the answer was yes. And after 2 or 3 stops, then he would find one that would say yes. If that failed, he would pull off on the road and we would go into the woods. There was always a roll of toilet tissue in the back seat. There were no restaurants for blacks, so when we had to pick up enough food and make it out of the South, there was no readily available bag. So lunch was fried chicken and the dinner was peanut butter sandwiches. And we had to go with cookies, chips, and peanuts. Usually we could find Coke machine. Sometimes we would go across the track and find a country shack and find a country shack. I'm sorry. With the tree in front. Just a second, please. With the tree in the front yard. We would ask the black owner for permission to pull out a blanket and eat under the tree. They would always say yes. The only motels that were in large cities, so Daddy planned the trip to reach the big city like Atlanta. And there were things that went wrong, and we had to find a rooming house and share the bathroom with whoever else was there. Finally, we would reach the New York City, New Jersey, at the turnpike. We were so excited, we ran up to lunch counter for a meal, sitting in the tree with our feet dangling over the stool, and was a new experience. And we had what now?
I'm
Oh,
sorry, Vic. I'm scrolling on Facebook and I
oh.
just interrupted you. And please forgive me for being so rude. Go to me, girl.
And when we were dangling from a stool was a new experience. We had longed a new experience, one we had longed for, but one that was not possible in Pensacola. Summer in the city made it all worthwhile. We walked around looking up the skyscrapers, riding in the subway, marveling the hustle and bustle of the city life, buying candy and for sale and buying candy for sale and almost every corner, living on the 8th floor of the student housing, riding in the elevator, watching people sleeping on the benches, Central Park, standing over the grates in the sidewalk, feeling the hot air blowing in our legs and growing enough to the front of the front door and moving there. My love of Broadway started then. The Interstate Fair came to Pensacola once a year, and that was the highlight of our season. But Coney Island was so much more exciting and that than the fair. It was there all of the time, and what a wonderful way to spend the summer. Let me see. Every year, every year Christmas morning, my family would attend a 6 o'clock service at our church, Greater Union Missionary Baptist Church. After church, We would all go to my Uncle Buddy's and Aunt Lily's house for breakfast. My other aunts and uncles, cousins, and some other members of our church would also go there to their home. My Aunt Lily was known for her good. Aunt Lily was always known for her good big meal on Christmas, consisting of bacon, sausage, eggs, grits, toast, pancakes, homemade biscuits, homemade preserves, and jelly, and some kind of potato dish that only she made. There would be juices, coffee, hot chocolate, and cider. Mmm, I'm hungry just writing this. Anyway, my Uncle Buddy, a deacon in our church, always blessed the food, actually prayed, actually prayed. Boy, did he pray. He prayed the longest prayer. He blessed the food, the family. And I think he called every family member's name, family member by name. He prayed for the misfortune, prayed for the sick and the shut in, prayed for those in prison. He thanked God for Jesus, for the church, and for everything that we had for us and the children again. He prayed for peace in the world. He prayed then for being thankful to God again for everything and everybody, and never really got around to blessing the food. He prayed so long that I when I peeked, I saw my little cousin Janice had fixed her plate and she fixed her food and she was asleep at the table with the jelly smeared on all of her face. She was still praying. He was still praying. All of the kids were anxious to finish their breakfast and get to our homes because we did not see open our presents before going to church. Finally, after all that praying, we could eat all of the we could eat. All of the children grabbed down the food and did what little prayer of our own. Excuse me. We were praying that the adults would hurry up, stop talking, eat, and leave. Finally, we got to go home. Our tree was usually at the pine smelling tree, and except for that 1 year, and except for that 1 year, just a second, except for that 1 year that they bought the ugly, non-smelling silver thing. The thing had to be put up like a puzzle and never did look like a tree. The adults were really excited about the tree. We, the kids, were looked at some of our space objects. I got the same thing. Christmas every year after I became a teenager. The beautiful wrapped paper, heavy box, always contained the pair of Union Steel ball bearing roller skates. And though I always knew what it was, I eagerly opened the box first. The skates were shoes and had a flat bed with a rear metal support on the heel of our shoes, and we had a leather strap buckled around the ankle so to keep our shoe foot secure. There were vertical metal clamps on the toe to catch our foot, to catch our own shoe, to attach our own shoe. The skates came in a skate key so that you could attach your old shoe, usually a penny loafer or a saddle Oxford, to the bed and skate tighten to fit tighten to fit the shoes. Ted had a ribbon yard on our old shoelace skates, and they were sworn around the neck so that you could tighten up the skates to the shoes when needed. I wore my skates I wore my skate key proudly, like a medal. It was my silver emblem of freedom, of the adventure, and the fun-filled times we spent with friends. After all, the presents that we opened, which always included fruits, nuts, candy, I was allowed to go visiting some friends. Go and visiting. Visiting was either going to meet, waiting for my friends, Beverly, Minnie, Elizabeth, Sarah, and other neighborhood friends to come skating my way. They were skaters too. They got skates too. While I wanted, I would attach my old black and white saddle shoe, to the bed of my skates, remove my skates key from around my neck, and tighten the skates to my shoes. Adjusted tightening the skates to the shoe where some kids will put their shoe on, then the skates. But I was much more agile. I could get the new shoe skates without failing. While I skated forward and backwards, making every turn and figure skating, just like the ice skaters I saw on TV. Some of us had to wait to play after midday dinner. Some at the midday dinner with family. Some of us were allowed to snack, eat all day. Sometimes we got home and the other houses and the families and friends. Wherever the cases, we were usually able to skate around the same time. Off, off we had to go skating around skating skate off we had to go skating the train. Off we'd go skating train, and we would meet on the corner, Hayes and Strong Streets, and down Hayes and Strong Street we'd go. The train crossed the train would cross the viaduct, and the servants were called on the train would cross the viaduct. Servants, which we called the viaduct, had made our way north of the Palafox, Dead Man's Hill, on Strong Street, between the Palafox and the Gouliard, which was the usually really steep. And for some reason, we only skated on the south side of the street. Probably because there were sand lots on the foot of the hill, and at the south side, on the top of the hill, we would ceremoniously take off our skate keys and tighten up our skates for skating game. We would play and call Pop the Whip. Other skating trains, my brother Billy and his friends, Maurice and the boys from the west side of the town, and the kids were from the north, from the neighborhood. We would always be at the top of that hill. The skaters on our train would hold hands of the person in front of them, and we would skate down the hill, and we would whip off into the sandlot. Sometimes when the skaters would turn loose from the person who was in front of them, they would find themselves on the concrete or on the middle of the Juilliard Street, bruised and cut knees, elbows, all worn. No one wore helmet or knee pads. We just skated. We just skated. After the hill, the skaters would head down the Juilliard Street south to the parking lot across Allen Capel AME Church. The parking lot was turned into a roller skating rink, minus the music, and we skated around until the time to go home, which was before the street lights came on. I never skated back home. I removed them from my neck and enabled the freedom of the adventure and of the time spent with friends. I used the key to remove my skates and swing them over on my shoulder so I could walk home in my saddle Oxford on the wobbly legs and feet. The perfect end to a perfect Christmas day. Okay, Meredith, you ready?
Okay, yes, ma'am. I'm ready. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay. This is where I left off.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna get a cup of coffee in a minute. I'll be back. I get a coffee.
Okay. One summer, out of state college students called Freedom Riders band together to help organize voter registration drives in Mississippi. However, during Freedom Summer, the young activists were met with violence and resistance from some locals. The students endured harassment, beatings, and even death. Take a stand with the law on the free on freedom now. Register to vote. In the literacy test. In segregation and terror. And those are some of the signs that the students hold up in front of the bus. Okay. And this is Vernon Damon on his farm greeting the students who are of different white and black youth that have come to Mississippi as freedom riders. To buffer the hate, Vernon and Ellie welcomed the student activists to their home for a picnic. After lunch, Vernon taught them the intricate parts of the soft, fluffy balls of cotton. Ellie remembers this day vividly. When asked to describe Vernon, Ellie said he was a Christian. He sang in the church choir. He taught the Bible in Sunday school with fever and passion. And that's what she had to say of her husband. Okay. This is an image of
Okay. All right.
uh in church. And we went to that we went on the outside of the church where he is resting at. The passion was also found in the civil rights movement. After years of restrictions due to race, Vernon could no longer bear the thought of his community working and toiling, but never receiving the rights of citizenship and voting. The laws of the day, plus harassment and threats of violence, had many African Americans silent with no political voice. Consequently, his ongoing desire for equal rights came at a critical time. Many saw this moment as a crucial opportunity to combat segregation and secure voting rights. So Vernon joined the NAACP, which is the National Association of the Advancement of Colored People, an organization devoted to improving life for African Americans. Okay. And I don't know why I always thought he was a
Huh?
part of it before the 60s.
You what
Anyway,
now?
I always assumed that he was a part of the NAACP before the 60s. But anyway,
Oh, okay.
this seems to say that he joined after 60. Okay, thus, Vernon came to the attention of the KKK, Ku Klux Klan, with his civil rights activism and thus pushed to encourage more Black voters to vote. Okay, so, oh my goodness. And,
Uh-huh.
and this is just the way it was. The Klan and the Citizens Council,
Yeah.
once they got your picture and put an X on it, they was after you. Now, typically called the KKK, this vigilante group, that should be a better spelling word, Vicky, group believed blacks were inferior, had to be kept in their place, and had no right to a political voice. And look at this secret group of
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
hooded people, who marched through our streets with these hoods on to conceal their identity
Uh-huh.
because they owned the grocery store. They worked in the sheriff's department, worked in the police department. There was a politician. There was the man who owned the hardware store. They was everywhere in every part of society.
Yeah. They still there. They just took the hoods
Nah,
off. Huh? What
look,
now?
what you say they still there? I don't know.
They
I don't
still
know.
there, but they just took the hoods off.
Okay, let's see.
Uh-huh.
Vicky, happy Black History Month.
Huh?
Happy Black History Month.
Yeah.
Black history is 24/7. Hurry, hurry, read all about it. Feared by hatred, the Klan intimidation tactics kept the family on alert. To ensure constant protection from danger, they slept in ships. They slept in ships.
Yeah.
Once they got on the Klan's list, they slept in ships. Okay, it was 7 sons, one daughter, a mom and a daddy. People had to take turns sleeping. What a life. And this is the way it was for anybody who challenged white supremacy.
Yeah.
Vernon received threatening phone calls, harassment, and damage to his property with windows shot out and barn fire. His insurance was canceled on his home business. Wow.
Uh-huh.
His lifetime relationship with local banks was severed. Wow. Now that was the kind of control that the white power structure had. Man, I pray to God it ain't that bad now. But anyway, for him to tell somebody to go register to vote, all that happened. They canceled his home and business insurance, harassed him and called him all the time, would set fire on his property, threatened to kill his family. You know, that's the intimidation was just fierce. Now you would think this is 60, 61, that was a lifetime ago, but that was only 65 years ago. It was not that long ago. And this is careful. This is something now that I not knew about the story. I didn't realize this part of it. Did you?
No.
The extent of the control that they had that much power that they
Yeah.
could have your homeowners and property insurance cut off and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Wow.
because whoever it was, there were a clan in every aspect. Everywhere you could find a clan. Now,
Right.
when I was in school, I happened to come around and take the back way back on campus.
Yeah.
I happened to look up at this Wesley Chapel, and I saw the Klan putting their coats on.
Where's
And
Western Chapel? You mean in Clarksdale?
no. This was at a Mississippi State campus.
Oh, Mississippi State.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You went to Mississippi State. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
they were putting it on campus.
I saw him on campus, and it was one of those, Wesley Foundation, one of those Catholic things. And I was happening to come around because there was a Dairy Queen or something off the campus, and I was coming the back way back on our dorm, and
Yeah.
I happened to look up in the window, and I saw some people putting on their Klan robe.
What year was that, Vicky, when you was in college?
This was like in the late 70s. This like in the late 70s.
Wow. They were still dressing out in the late 70s on a college
Uh-huh.
campus.
I saw them putting on the robe. I
Uh-huh.
got the hell out of Dodge, so to speak, before I saw them putting the caps on. But I did see them
Did you
putting the robes
recognize
on.
any of them?
Huh?
Was they like college professors? Did you recognize any of them?
No, I didn't recognize any of them. No, I
Yeah,
didn't.
that was deep, wasn't it? I mean,
Yeah, it was. It was
Miss-
deep.
Mississippi, right?
Some
Yeah.
things I
Uh-huh.
really do remember.
Yeah.
That's one of those things I really do remember. Yeah.
Uh-huh. I know you do. Okay, so this is where I am now. And this is Mr. Dahmer, I assume, registering to vote? A vote?
Okay.
It says anyway, register here to vote. Your vote matters. Okay. However, this turn of events did not deter Vernon. He continued to try and register to vote, but was turned away each time. Oh, he himself registered in the early 60s. Okay. Rejected due to the literacy test that was designed to discourage Black citizens from trying to vote. Even after the rejection, he was determined to press on toward his goal of first class citizenship and voting rights for disenfranchised blacks. Disenfranchised should be a spelling word, Vicky.
Yeah.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's 15 letters. Vernon Alter said, a man needed to do his own thinking. Uh-oh. I like that.
Uh-huh.
A man needed to do his own thinking. And a woman too. Okay, let's see. As a way to increase citizen participation. Oh my goodness. He provided transportation to the courthouse for those attempting voter registration. But then he decided to take it to another level. Look, he was driving people to go register.
Uh-huh.
He said, okay, y'all done cancel my insurance. You call me every day, threatening me and my family, but I'm still going to keep on my mission of trying to get us to vote and have political power and wanting us to be first class citizens. The passing of the Voter Rights Act of 1965 legally forbade officials from threatening or tricking blacks into not voting. Even with federal intervention, some states still require a $2 poll tax for state elections in 1966, along with literacy tests. Yeah, I know, because when I wrote the book on my uncle, people was telling me that they had to pay the poll tax in Hines County when they had to register for the first time. Okay, so Dahmer grocery store.
Uh-huh.
Now that was one of the reasons why he was so powerful, because he was a landowner and a business owner.
Yeah.
So when he joined the NAACP, he was always in touch with people in the community because they was coming to his store to buy things that they needed
Yeah.
in cash or on credit. And he was saying to them, a change is going to come. We
Yeah.
can register to vote. We can be empowered. We can have better for our community. We can have some infrastructure. All our roads are dirty, dusty, and they get paved roads. We deserve pay for the taxes to be spent on our side of town. And the argument was well taken. You need a ride, I take you to the poll. However, more African Americans attempted to register to vote, but were met with retaliation from some local. So Bow was from Forest County.
But now,
Bow was from Forest County, Hattiesburg.
what, Vernon Dahmer? Oh,
No,
Bowers?
Bowers.
Bowers? I,
Yeah.
I'm thinking he was from. I'm thinking he was from about right outside of Hattiesburg.
Oh, I
Cause
see.
that's where his post. Cause that's where his post was. Cause since I thought it was Grand Wizard, I really don't know where his post was. I really don't.
Yeah, it's been so long.
And when he came to prison, uh, I think he came from Forest County.
Okay.
And they tell me I got my first 15 minutes of fame on TV because they was telling me that he had he was sick and he couldn't go to prison and he couldn't go this, and I politely said, they got they got prisons in prison. They got hospitals in prison. He'll be all right. They tell me
Therefore,
that was my first 15 minutes because they asked me what I thought. I said, well, they got a hospital in prison. He'll be all right.
yeah, sympathy. Therefore, the tax collector allowed Vernon to keep a voter registration book at the Dahmer grocery store and accept the poll tax. I remember that part of the story. He was collecting poll taxes for the county
Uh-huh.
for people who were registered. And that was really an interesting part of it, that they let him collect the money for the people who were registered. The new plan was um, publicized on the local radio station. The new development angered Klan members who were already plotting to silence Vernon with death. Many brave white and black activists had already been killed or brutally attacked by the Klan and other segregationists. Okay, here we go. You see it.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
The family understood Vernon's actions
Yeah.
angered those who wanted racial division, but due to the recent federal laws, they never imagined his life was in jeopardy because the federal law said, okay, you know, blacks can register to vote now. They can be citizens and have political power. And the Klan, the grandsons of the people who fought the Confederate War, said, no, we don't want to obey the federal laws. In the past, to prepare for violence, the Dahmers lived with extreme caution. However, on the evening of January the 9th, 1966, they settled into a comfortable slumber. Okay, so this was January the 9th, 1966, when their
Uh-huh.
whole life changed. So it sounds like for at least 6 years, he was involved in um, registering voters and a leader of the NAACP and a business leader and all of that. And in '65, they passed the Civil Rights Bill, which people assumed was going to give us some protection. Okay, so here it is. I have to, under the veil of darkness, in the early morning hours of January the 10th, 1966, January the 10th, the Dahmer home and grocery store was the target of a firebomb attempt by a group of KKK Klan night riders while the family slept. Roused from sleep by an outside noise, Ellie woke Vernon, leading him to protect his family. On that tragic night, Vernon's family escaped their burning home as he barely fought back against the attackers, but he died from his injuries. But I don't
Uh-huh.
care what nobody say. Any man who was by himself
Yeah.
shooting from one window to the next at a group, I don't know if it was 9 or 12
Yeah.
white men with white hoods on, and held them off so that his 7, 9, how many sons was? Let me go back. I don't want to say that wrong. 7 sons and 1 daughter and wife all
Uh,
got out safe. When I heard that story, it was just like, what?
yeah.
He was so brave. He He ran from one room to the next as if it was multiple shooters.
Yeah.
And kept him obeyed like he was a one-man machine. And I just, man, he was so brave. And this should be required reading. Under the veil of darkness, okay. On that tragic night, Vernon's family escaped their burning home as he bravely fought back against the attackers, but he died from his injuries. Yeah, and we went to see this house. Some of Vernon's, I guess that's the house we went to see. Last words were, in this society, if you don't vote, you don't count. Even on his deathbed, he never wavered in his beliefs or love for his family. Sadly, with federal laws in place, they gave Black voting rights. Vernon received his voter registration card after his funeral. Thank you. They mailed him his voter registration card after he died. I guess somebody at the clerk's office felt bad and said, oh my God, let's send him his voter registration. Isn't that something? Dahmer's bravery, oh my God, he was brave. Welled up in a tumultuous and frightening time to empower and influence others around him because he dared to dream. Vernon Dahmer died on that fateful day, but his sacrifice and the sacrifice of others have moved America forward and given Blacks a voice and a place in the country. Now, this is a illustrated image of his funeral. This is the next frame.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so it shows Vernon Dahmer in the center, his beautiful wife, Mrs. Ellie Jewell. It shows, oh, Dr. Donovan Dahmer, one of his children. Um, I guess one of his children must be a politician. The daughter is a spokesperson, and one is maybe one is an astronaut. Okay, I'm this is what I'm thinking. This is me. Those social and political issues were far from perfect. The country has made tremendous strides. Now there are Black astronauts. Now there are Black millionaires and billionaires. Now there are Blacks in major roles in movies and television. Okay, now there are more Black doctors than ever before. And because of the efforts of Vernon and others like him, only recently, the United States of America had its first Black president who served two brilliant terms, representing all Americans, of all creeds and colors, Barack Obama. Barack Hussein Obama. 50 years later, there are still injustices, but the lives given for freedom were not given in vain. So, America can continue to be a beacon of light for many seeking the opportunity of a better life. And then the next illustration says there's a pole that says justice, another one that says equality, and another one that says hope. And this is the author's notes. Vernon Ferdinand Dahmer Sr. was born March 10th, 1908, in the Kelly settlement in Forest County, Mississippi. Living in the early 1900s, a young Dahmer developed a heart for his community as he observed the lack and poverty all around him. On the heels of post slavery and war, along with the Great Depression, he would witness his community of Kelly settlement lay stagnant as the city of Hattiesburg was slowly prospering for others, but not for African Americans. Wow, I got to read that again. He will witness his community, the Kelly settlement, laying stagnant as the city of Harrisburg was slowly prospering for others, but not for African Americans. You know, that just really is ironic that he's sitting there in the Kelly settlement while blacks were not prospering and people in Hattiesburg around them, the whites, were prospering. And here we are in Jackson. We both live in Jackson.
Yeah.
And I live in South Jackson. You go on Terry Road right now, and it's so many vacant commercial businesses until you get dizzy before you get to Byron looking at the inactivity and all the businesses that used to be there. The Ace Hardware, all of that gone.
Yeah.
And Rose is gone, all of that. And then history has repeated itself. He was looking at his community decline and Hattiesburg building up for the white class and declining for the black class. He endured the grips of discrimination and hate, but a longing began to simmer in his soul. Vernon wanted more in his life. Raised by a white father, we had a white father, and a
The
multiracial
Dahmer
mother.
father was white.
That's what it said. He said he was raised by a white father. His mother received benefits that others did not possess. However, he longed for citizenship and recognition for all. It's amazing. I never knew that. He believed that if a person was paying taxes and striving to be a good citizen, they deserved the rewards of first class citizens. Now that's something his father was white and his mother was mixed race. And all of his siblings, except for him, stayed on the land and kept the land going. Sadly, he watched as African Americans were treated as second class citizens with low paying jobs. We still got low paying jobs, along with substandard housing and schools. Oh my God. Because many of the city leaders held on to their Confederate ideology. However, this fact did not deter him from longing for equality for himself and other blacks. Because of his deep beliefs in equality for all, his focus would drive him to work hard and push for the rights that he knew everyone deserved. He would motivate many people with his mantra that stated, if you don't vote, you don't count. Vernon Damer's mantra, if you don't vote, you don't count, resonates in our country today. But Vernon Damer spoke those words in the early 20th century. His quest to be a first class citizen turned his world upside down. But his bravery, recognized by presidents, continued to motivate others to achieve goals against all odds. Mr. Dahmer died January the 10th, 1966. Excuse me, he was 57 years old.
January 10, 1966.
January 10th, 1966, he was 57 years old. Now, This shows the places where there are exhibits on Vernon Daniel. Um, there's a park, a street name for Vernon Daniel in Hattiesburg. Um, let's see, Mississippi Civil Rights Museum. I've seen an exhibit. The National Civil Rights Museum in DC. I haven't been there. I would love to go. Museum of the Courageous in San Francisco. Okay, he's there. You see federal recognition. 98. Okay, when a grand jury convicted a former Klan leader of his murder. And I guess they're talking about Bowers. Wow. Oh, wow. And this is his daughter who wrote the book.
Uh-huh. All right now.
Well done.
Yes.
Well done. His only daughter. Isn't that something?
Mm. What is it? 6 sons and 1 daughter?
Yeah. In the turbulent era of the 50s and 60s, amidst the battle for civil rights and racial equality, a brave figure named Vernon Dahmer emerged. His goal was first-class citizenship. This man did not allow society's ideals to keep him from his dreams. He overcame numerous obstacles that kept most men mired in poverty. He would lose his life before his dreams were recognized, but his influence and impact are still felt in our society today. And finally, if you don't vote, you don't count. Ferdinand Daniel Sr. I really enjoyed this book. I already got a companion guide to this book too. It would be real good for.
Oh, all right.
Uh-huh. Oh, they got vocabulary words. Oh, that's interesting. These are the vocabulary words.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh. And then they define the words as well.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Order right now. If you don't vote, you don't count. Right? This free publicity. They they ain't giving me a penny. They don't even know I bought the book. This book is worth buying for Black History Month. If you don't vote, you don't count. Vernon Dahmer's Fight for Equality, written by his only daughter, Rochelle Shelly Dahmer. Well done. And the illustrations, Jackson
Uh-huh.
pronounced
Oh,
it.
Vernon,
I
you
done messed it up one time.
dapper. You
He's a
looking dapper.
he's a good illustrator. I'm telling you, he's good. Anyway, our time is up, Vic.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Uh-huh.
We have to go
Yeah,
today
it's
so
a
I can
done
finish on.
deal.
Huh?
It's a done deal.
All right, it's a done deal. So
All right then. Well, I'll holler at you later.
I'll holler at you later.
Uh-huh. Okay, have a wonderful rest of
Oh,
your Saturday. Happy Black History Month, everybody. And happy reading.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. See you later, Vicky.
All right. Talk to you later.
Thanks for listening. Anybody who was listening. Okay.
Y'all have a good day.
Have a wonderful, fantastic day.